How are we doing, my friend?
Here it is. Dude, I'm so sorry for last time. Please
It's
accept.
okay. It happens. It happens.
Okay. How are
I,
you?
I'm great. I like the art piece you have to your left. Is that
Oh, this?
yeah.
Yeah, me too. It's my wife, her mom was an art dealer,
Okay.
was representing artists, and so our whole house is full of paintings. A lot of them I'm not a fan, but this one is by far my favorite. I
And
love
she
it.
makes the rules though,
Of course.
huh?
Every rule, dude, every rule.
Oh man.
Um, Dude, so we connected accidentally at MDS. I'm sorry, I had never heard of you before. Obviously, you had never heard of me before. And then I was told that you came to MDS with your own film crew, and that you were a boxer. So I was told you were a pro boxer. But are you a pro boxer today, or are you a coach wanting to become a pro boxer? Have you been a pro boxer in the past?
I competed at the very pretty high level on the amateur side of things. So the New York City Golden Gloves is probably the highest I've gotten to.
Okay.
And then I was a boxing coach on the side of that too. So building up my career in boxing, coaching more so in the fitness world. And then as I was competing, trying to get to the pro rankings. And then I made the switch to endurance training recently.
Okay. All right. But you've not given up boxing at all. Like you're still coaching. Do you still aim at doing pro combat sometimes in the future, or is this a part of your life that's behind you now?
I think it's behind me now. I never fully want to close the doors to it, but boxing on the more realistic side of things, it's very hard when it comes into the brain trauma of things.
Yeah.
And you don't really think about that when you're younger, you're competing, but then when you start to have a family, you start to have kids, you start to settle down with things. It's you realize that you can only give, so it's a give and take thing, right? Like I love what boxing does for my lifestyle, the mentality, the discipline, the training, but at what cost? To train at that high level, it's going to take some brain trauma towards it, and that's something I'm not willing to give up right now. And
Of
you know
course, of course, or ever. I mean,
ever, yeah.
I understand. So you're a family man.
Family man, two kids, 2.5 and 4.5.
Okay. So are you born in the United States?
Born in the Philippines, Quezon City, Manila.
Oh, okay. So I've been in the Philippines. I've not been to Manila, but I've been to Cebu.
Yeah, beautiful. You
Uh,
went there for a vacation?
yeah, I was there for a hot fireman.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was hot. It was
Oh, humid. Why would you do that?
Well, I was living in Asia at the time, so it was very close. And
Okay, it makes sense.
what do you mean, dude? You and I, we love the heat. Come on.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So let me ask you a question. Are you will you ever go back?
So listen, this is a very good question. So I have done MDS 10 times. Okay. When we met, that was my 10th. But that was also the first year that the new management came in. Okay. And I was very emotionally attached to the old management because of the mentality, the style. This new management has new perspectives on things, and I respect that. The Sahara remains the same. The race remains as hard as before. But maybe it's just me or the people we were so emotionally connecting with the man, the guy who created the race. His name is
Patrick, right?
Boer, yeah. For many reasons. I mean, one of the reasons is because he did it. He did it
Mm,
on his own when he was in his 20s. He trekked along the Sahara on his own, and then he had the crazy, insane, beautiful idea to, oh, but maybe other people would like to do that. And he was
mm,
just a very genuine, people-oriented guy who never really made a lot of money out of this event. So he sold it, I imagine, for a lot of money, although I'm not too sure. But during all those years of him doing MDS, money was not his priority number one. The people, both the runners and
mm.
their safety, but also his crew and all the volunteers. I've interviewed the main doctor. He was there for 21 years. The guy for 21 years was volunteering and being the head of all the doctors. There was such I mean, the word solidarity was not just a word. It was really lived by everyone who was involved in this event, and it was just very touching. It was touching. So now it's a little bit different, but again, I have to say that organizing such a huge event, I mean, you can imagine it's a logistical nightmare, right? In the
Yes,
middle of
yes.
nowhere. I mean, the ice buckets this year, this is like, I've never seen that before, So there's definitely some improvements, but to the cost also, unfortunately, of it's a different mentality, right?
Yes.
I cannot say that I hate it, but I think it's different. And do 10 times, man, I'm 51 years old. How old are you?
I'm 34.
Okay, so yeah, you can
Well,
do
you
it.
look great. You look great for 51.
No, and I would encourage you to do it again, because I don't know if you agree with me, but to me, this event, it's so different than the life we live. Like, you live in California, right? You live in LA?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So I
Orange
live in
County,
Orange County,
yes.
right? I mean,
Yeah.
we're basically neighbors, right? So I've been brought in the Western world. I'm from Europe originally. We're so spoiled. We're so pampered and privileged, like we have no idea, right? And so going over there and just having to drink, eat, walk, go to the bathroom, you meet people with extraordinary path of lives. And to me, and I want to know what you think of it, it's exhausting physically, but in the mind, it's a reset. It's my
Hmm.
reset button. And it's been my reset button since 2007 when I started going to this event. Do you agree with
Hmm.
that?
I 1,000,000,000% agree, and I actually made the decision to go back, and it was so life changing for me. And I have when I stopped boxing competitively, I kind of fell into, I don't know, this space where I didn't know I was so attached to boxing. Everything I had accomplished in life was through boxing, right? Whether it was the coaching side or the competitive side, and building my community on that side. And so I asked myself, what am I without boxing? So I really had to go to the root and say, okay, it wasn't boxing that was really helping me. It was the training, the lifestyle, the discipline, the humility, the hard work behind it. And I just so happened to stumble across just running. I remember the first time I ever ran a marathon was just by myself. I said, I'm going to try to run a marathon. I've never trained before. I just want to see, I want to challenge myself. And I hated it. And
How
in
long was
turn,
it? How long was it? How long
oh
ago?
my, oh my gosh, I ran 26 miles in over 6 hours.
Okay, but was it New York Marathon?
No, it was just by myself. I was in
But by
Maui.
yourself?
I didn't take water, and I just kept running. I
Like
was just,
like a training run, like what we would call an off?
yeah,
Just did it on your own with
I
your
just did
little
it on my own. I
dude.
was trying to get back into competitive boxing, and it didn't work out and the way I thought it was going to work out. And I was like, it was December 2022. I said, okay, year's going to end. I got to challenge myself somehow. I didn't fight like I wanted to. Let me just try to run a marathon. My parents are watching
Dude,
the kids.
this is hard. Like, congrats on doing this. And I
I don't suggest it.
it's no surprise that you're into ultra running and that you coming from this from what I imagine, because I've never done boxing in my life, like a very hard, no BS. You are what you are on the ring, and you can't BS people, because very quickly they're gonna find out who you really are. And I think this commitment, like going on a training run with your watch, just all right, I'm gonna run a marathon today on your own, that's mental. That's a strength right there.
That's why I love it. That's why I love MDS, and I have so much love for ultra running. So I ran that marathon, and then from that time and a year later, I think I did close to 6 marathons,
Oh,
just
wow.
prepping. LA, Huntington, Orange County. I did New York, which was one of my favorites.
Yeah.
San Francisco. And I was just, I'm not a run influencer, nor do I want to be a run influencer. I like documenting it though. I'm no
Yeah.
expert. I understand, like if I saw someone who just started boxing and started posting, do this, do that, do this, I would be turned off by it. But for me, I like documenting it, and I
Yeah.
like showing my highs, my lows, and what I'm learning, and hopefully that inspires other people to challenge themselves, maybe through running, maybe through something else. But
Yeah.
in turn, I came across the MDS and completely terrified
How did you come
of it.
across it? Did you see something on Netflix? Did somebody tell you about the race?
My old boxing training partner in New York, he got into kind of these adventures before me. He started when he retired from professional boxing, he got into like Kilimanjaro. He like not summited, he base camp Mount Everest. You know, he did the Arctic Circle run or whatever. And so he mentioned it to me. And I remember I was just running in Arizona, like a training run.
Yeah.
And I
In
was like, oh,
Arizona, in the heat,
yeah.
of course.
I said, this is hard out here. And is there a marathon I can do out here? And then the first thing that pops up was Marathon Des Sables. And I was like, oh, this is the race Brian, my training partner, who was telling me about. Completely terrified. The first time I looked it up, I saw the story of the Frenchman that got lost and had to eat the bats and lost all that weight and
Yeah,
almost
yeah. So
died.
there's, it's this story because it happened under the older management.
Yeah.
There's a big controversy about this story. Like a lot of people, including the management, because I mean, you've seen the race. It's very hard to get lost. It's very
Very
hard to
hard.
get lost. Okay. You can be disoriented and you can just, wander around a little bit for a few minutes. But the distance that that guy tracked on his own. So anyway, the controversy is that he was trying to bring publicity to his adventure,
Oh.
and it turned out into a much more nightmarish experience than he even expected. Because he had no idea what he was doing. Okay, but I don't. I mean, personally, that's my opinion. I don't think he got lost just like that accidentally.
Yeah.
One year, a few years ago, maybe 4 or 5 years ago, I was there, and one woman got lost, and they spent the entire night looking for her, and they found her in the morning. And fortunately for her, she got lost at night, like on the evening, and so at night the temperatures dropped, so she didn't have water, but she was pretty much okay. It took them an entire night to find her, and that's the only person who ever got lost accidentally. That guy,
Uh,
it's a crazy story, but I don't know if it's entirely legit or just plain ridiculous.
that makes sense too, because they mentioned when the sandstorm came, people stopped, but he kept running, which I
Yeah.
mean, there's it telltale right there. Like,
Yeah.
what are you doing towards
Yeah.
that? But
But anyway, yeah, it adds up to the myth, right?
yes, yes, yes.
Yeah.
But I saw that and I said, okay, like when I first did the first marathon, I have to be honest with you, I never once in my mind was like, I'm gonna stop, I'm gonna quit, I'm gonna get an Uber and go back to where I started. So I said, let me find something a little more challenging. I said, I want to take myself to that place where I don't think I
Yeah.
could go anymore. And then, between really enjoying the process of doing these marathon, and I'm not a fast runner.
Yeah.
I've only been doing this for a short amount of time, but from falling in love with the training and the process and the journey, I was able to take, the 6 hour, 15-minute marathon
Yeah.
down to a 3:35 in the span of a year. And I enjoyed that process. And I said, okay, let me full force focus on the MDS. And I became obsessed with it.
Yeah.
I connected with Elizabeth Barnes, who still coaches me now. And to the
Oh, it's
T.
interesting. Why did you connect with her? Like,
Honestly, I came across one of her blogs and it was very informative, and I just saw she offered coaching there because my previous coach, my marathon coach, was going to help me. Her name's Bex Gentry. She's from the UK. She's a instructor at Peloton, which I've done work for them. So she was helping me with a lot of that stuff, and she knew a little bit about the MDS, and I believe she had a colleague that's ran it, Susie Chan, that's ran the MDS as well. But I wanted more information about the pack and logistics, and
Yeah.
when do I travel there? Where do I stay? Like there's so much behind. it's
Yeah.
not even, I wouldn't even consider calling it a race. It's like a adventure. It's a
It's an
journey.
adventure. Yeah.
And you're absolutely right. It's that mental reset. And I love stripping myself down to the bare necessities and being in that debt. It was so humbling, and talk about taking me to a place where I thought I couldn't go anymore. I mean, first two stages, I thought I was doing okay for, a new runner, top 250 ranking. And then stage three came and it took me 27 hours.
The long stage.
that, oh
That's the
my
long stage.
goodness, that complete, when I was running, or excuse me, when I was by mile 11, I was walking like
Yeah. Yeah.
30-minute miles. And
Yeah.
I was like, I have 40 more miles to go. What am I going to
I was there. I was there with you, dude. It happened the same with me. I've never
do?
been a fast runner. And you said something that's very interesting. And I think that a lot of us connect on ultra running specifically for this reason. Like some people, they aim at, timing and qualifying times for other races and everything. But the vast majority, I believe, are there to have an adventure. Like they don't know what's going to happen during the day or during I mean, more than a day sometimes. And their goal is to reach the finish line, which is satisfaction. But along the way, they go through all types of emotions, whatever. They meet extraordinary people, they see beautiful sceneries. And I think that's what brings us all to ultra running. And that differentiates it from just pure marathon running.
Mm-hmm.
When very quickly marathon running, you talk about your timings,
Mm-hmm.
like time, that's the discussion, because anybody can pretty much finish a marathon, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And for sure, for someone like you, 26 miles, yeah, okay, maybe it was a little bit hard at the beginning, but that was not the challenge you were looking for and that you're still in for now, right? I mean, you're
Mm-hmm.
still into ultra running now. Do you have any other races that you plan to do?
Yeah, so coming back to MDS next
Yeah,
year. I mean, I don't know if I'll hit 10, but like I could see myself doing 10
doing it.
just
Yeah, yeah,
because I just really enjoy it, and
yeah,
coming from a third world country but growing up in America, it kind of takes me back to the roots of like, hey, you were so happy with nothing.
yeah.
So I love the humbling process behind it, and going back to boxing is, sometimes you have to get really knocked down to be humbled in boxing.
Mhm.
Well, at least with ultra running, I could get knocked down and I could still have my brain cells. So
Yeah. How old were you when you moved to America again?
I was very young. I was 3 years old.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, the thing about MDS, so I've done it 10 times, but not 10 times in a row. Sometimes I've left 1 year or 2 years go by. Because one thing with MDS, which I enjoy, but it's also true that it takes a toll on, the family maybe. It's very time consuming, not just the
Yes.
thing, right? But the prep part.
Mm-hmm.
Do you agree with that?
Absolutely. It took so much, and resources wise. And I'd be lying if I didn't say, documenting it, I was hoping to expand my reach and pick up some sponsors for the following year who enjoyed the documenting of the journey, and which I have, and they're going to help support that now too. So,
Oh, that's awesome. Can we name
yeah.
them? Who are those sponsors?
I can't name them officially
Okay,
yet, but
but you will.
yeah, I will soon. Yeah,
That's
that
awesome,
I'll
man.
be
Good for
supporting
you.
them, and I enjoy sharing that story, and I'm hoping I can inspire other people to, go down that route, and go to the desert to find themselves. And
Yeah. Yeah, but
yeah.
something, see, I think you totally can, because you're very good at what you do. But the thing with you is that you were already a pretty hardcore athlete.
Yes,
What
yes.
would you say to someone who's not?
Mm,
Someone who sure is a runner, but not like has never done more than a marathon and has never
mhm.
done boxing or Krav Maga or you name it. Someone who's just a runner. Do
Yeah.
you think MDS is accessible?
I think everyone is, from what I saw on the course and the people that I interacted with and the stories I got to know, and the people in my tent that I got close with. I think most people are physically capable of completing it. but what separates the people from completing it that don't, and it's why the ultra runners become so close with each other, is they're very similar mindsets. They're so mentally strong, and they have this strong belief in themselves. So
Mm.
I think a lot of people, unfortunately, will never tap into that belief in themselves. And look, yes, you may not be physically capable and not be a runner to do it next year, but maybe 3 years from now, if you really believe in yourself, you could find a way to put in the work to complete it.
Yeah, I agree. I think the motivation, like how
Mm-hmm.
much do you want this? You know,
Yes, yes.
and because of course I mean, I don't know about you, but how were your feet? My feet, every time I've done it, I've been like impacted by blisters. Not mangled, not
Mhm.
crazy, but still, it's painful.
Yeah, my feet were bad. It was bad. And I thought I had tough feet from boxing, being on my toes a lot, like wearing these tight boxing shoes, all my marathon training. Yes, I've lost toenails and stuff, but the blisters I've never really had an issue with. And my goodness, stage 3 in the middle of the night, the blisters got so bad. I stepped on like thorns. I was like, oh my gosh, thorns just got through my shoe and I'm stepping on thorns or a piece of glass or something.
It was just
No,
your
they were just
blister.
they were just blisters at the bottom of my feet.
Dude, we're laughing now. We're
Yeah.
laughing now, right?
Yeah.
Because we went beyond that. But
Yeah.
when that happens, that's when you need to tap into whatever,
Yes.
like I don't know if it's your heart, your mentality, but yeah, those moments are hard.
Yeah, that was the hardest part for me is middle of the night, stage 3. And I'm so happy, like we should have these conversations more, even if it's not a recorded interview,
Yeah,
because I feel like I can not have these conversations with people that haven't done
yeah,
MDS.
true,
But
true. Yeah, we're like brothers in arms, you know.
exactly. That's why I was looking forward to just even catching up with you about it.
We can do that. We can do that.
But yeah, middle of the night, like 3 a.m. My headlamp's starting to go dim. I don't want to change the lights in the middle of the night because there's no one around me. The only
Yeah,
ones that are around me, they're passing me. I'm going
yeah.
so slow. My feet, there's so many blisters. I keep missing the markings because the headlamp is going
Oh,
back, going
God.
dim, and I have to go back. Completely depleted. I think I only brought enough food for a 16-hour day. Meanwhile, it's hour 20 already. So I'm like trying to re-ration my food. I got chafing on my shorts, so I got my knife out, cut the shorts open. And remember, the organization, they put another mountain at the end of stage 3. Do you remember that one?
Yeah.
And I said, "Oh, this is it for me. I'm with one false step. I'm done for." And I'm playing videos of my kids as I'm walking and trying to shine
Oh,
my
you
light on
did?
my
Oh, that's
phone.
awesome.
It was a dark spot, and then somebody at checkpoint 6 told me once I get to checkpoint 7, it's only a 5K.
Yeah.
So I'm like everything I have running to checkpoint 7, thinking I'm just gonna run through this checkpoint, refill my water, and I have 5K.
Yeah.
It
What's
was
5K, right? What's 5K?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I find out it's 10.8K.
Oh, who
Oh
told
my
you that?
god.
Who told you that?
One of the volunteers.
Oh my God.
I know.
So what did you do? You just kept running? You just
I
kept
just I just kept going, but I was bare. I wouldn't even call it running. I was walking. I went back to my 30-minute miles, that final 10K, and
Yeah.
it
I mean,
really dragged out.
I was in the same place, like clearly, you know. Um, so there's obviously a correlation. Again, I don't know much about boxing, but you have to fight someone, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not everybody can do that, like mentally speaking, but there's this strong correlation about, to me, you have to have something. So I don't know. Do you think that boxing somehow has benefited your running, or is it also the opposite? Do you think a runner? Because I saw a post of you where you're encouraging boxers to embrace
Mm-hmm.
uh, ultra running.
Mm-hmm.
But do you think that your past as a boxer helped you not quitting at MDS, for example?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I've had multiple rounds where I'm in there, because in boxing you have to simulate a fight, right? You have to really simulate somebody trying to hurt you, trying to take you out. And there's moments in the training where you're in the ring with somebody better than you and they are beating you up, and you have to stay in there for another round and try to hold your own. And I've had so many of those moments, training with high level professionals trying to take me out. And I, if I get knocked out, I get back up. Even in a fight, if I lose, if I get knocked out, I'm in the gym the following day, because I don't have that quit in me. And I think a part of it is kind of knowing the coming from, being an immigrant, coming from the Philippines, knowing that not everybody gets this opportunity. How blessed am I to have this opportunity? I'm not going to let it go. And I'm going to just keep trying and trying and trying as much as I can until I can't anymore.
Yeah.
And that's what boxing has definitely helped me with the ultra running. And then on the other stuff too is like the training aspects. Like we're always simulating in boxing, so that translated into the training. Like, okay, and let me simulate what the race is going to feel like.
Yeah. It's
Climbing
hard
this,
training. Like
yeah,
hard training.
climbing, running on tired legs. Even if it's an easy run after a long run, like understanding, like, hey, like, can you still focus on your breathing and your nutrition, and all. I absolutely am head over heels in love with the lifestyle, the journey, the everything about it.
Yeah. To me, finishing a race like MDS or another difficult ultra like 100 mile or 100K in the mountains or something like that, when I pass the finish line, there's this strong sense of accomplishment. Like it's my ego, my ego
Mm-hmm.
gets boosted. I have more confidence. And to me, it translates into my life, into every other
Absolutely.
aspects of my life. Does it, you feel the
Absolutely.
same?
Absolutely. And that's why I shared so much on the boxing side. That's why I love boxing coaching. So if you look at boxing, it's a sport people look at and they say, okay, I can never fight in the ring. Well, for
Yeah.
me, and I could confidently say this, is I help bring boxing to become more accessible to the everyday people.
Mm.
Because in the fitness world, we incorporated boxing more. So when I lived in New York, we took the elements of boxing, we turned it into a group workout. We ended up starting this brand called Rumble. We ended up opening 13 locations to share boxing with the world, to make boxing as a workout more accessible, and it changed people's lives. And that translated into helping, the Peloton, the digital platform, create a boxing program for that, and which was shared with 7 million plus subscribers. And that's what I love about it. And I could easily say that about running, and why I like sharing that my journey is I'm just taking the things that I'm passionate about that changed my life for the better, and hoping it could change other people's lives for the better as well. Because you're absolutely right, is we do the running, yes, to become better at the races, to challenge ourselves, to maybe rank higher, better time, but ultimately it changes us outside of the race. That's why we really love it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's fascinating. That's a fascinating subject for me. Um, so coming this next, I mean, this season is not over. Do you have any? I think you're doing Kodiak. Did you register for that?
Yes. So Kodiak, the 100K.
Yeah,
So I feel like doing that's going to help me better prepare for the long stage
yeah,
next year.
yeah.
And then I'll use the San Francisco Marathon, who I'm partnering up with, as a training run leading up to that. And
When
then
is the San Francisco Marathon?
July 28th, if you want to join me.
Oh, okay. No, I'm doing San Diego this weekend.
It's this weekend.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh, good for you.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
How you feeling?
Well, I haven't really run since MDS, but
Uh,
this is once you've done so a lot of ultra running races, you
yeah.
feel a bit stupid, and because you can also enjoy yourself. But
Hmm.
but I'm like, okay, well, I'll probably run, track, walk, but I'm interested in the hardship of those 26 miles.
Yeah,
It's gonna
yeah,
be hot, and it's it's stupid, okay. But to me, what doesn't kill me makes me stronger. I
yeah.
strongly believe in this. It works for me. And dude, I tell you what, when I go to MDS, man, I go to war. Like,
Yo,
I'm like,
absolutely.
how far am I ready to go? Pretty damn far.
Yeah,
You know,
10
like
MDSs, absolutely. 10
like
MDSs, you're definitely willing to go far.
I love my life. I don't want to die, but I'm ready to go pretty damn far.
Yeah. I mean, it is, I get goosebumps just thinking about that. Like even the final stage when they, they're playing the song and they count down the 3, 2, 1, and everyone is just screaming as they run the past the starting line, like we're all going into battle.
Yeah.
It was an incredible, incredible feeling. Like I say, like I could only really share these conversations with brothers that I've gone to war with, right?
Yeah.
So hopefully I'll see you next year.
Yeah, MDS, I don't know. I mean,
Yeah.
clearly not next year. I'm not saying never again, but and I think it's very good that you're doing Kodiak as a preparation for MDS. I did the in February, I went to New Zealand and I did the 100K of the Tarawera. I don't know
Okay.
if I'm pronouncing it right. And that helped me, because
Okay.
it's 100K, right? I was very slow. It took me 24 hours. But mentally, I was like, oh, okay, I'm in a good enough shape that I can finish 100K. So the long stage in the MDS, all right, I'm going to be able to do it, And
Hmm.
mentally, that was the switch that allowed me to be at the start line in full confidence, knowing that
Hmm.
all right, no distance that they can come up with this year is going to scare me.
Yes, yes, absolutely. Well, I saw your resume and very, very impressive. And for me, it's like I would love to go down the route of the races you've done. And I mean, down to the UTMB, that's a
Yeah,
dream race for me too.
yeah,
Hence why I'm
UTMB.
doing Kodiak as well to get some stones and hopefully, get more experience leading up to it.
Yeah, I think you're born to do UTMB, dude. You're designed for it. This
Yeah.
is such a challenge. You would have a blast. Like it's
Oh,
the hardest thing I've ever done. You know.
wow,
Yeah,
really?
yeah, it's really hard because also it's not just the distance, right? And the elevation. The elevation
Hmm.
is brutal, like it's almost never flat. But it's the cutoffs are not that easy.
Mm.
There's another race. I don't know if you ever heard of it. It's called in the Reunion Island. Reunion Island is a small island next to Madagascar, east of Africa, and it's called the Diagonal of the Mad.
Hmm.
The French
Yeah.
race, la Diagonale
Yeah.
des Fous. Yeah, it's the
Yes, yes,
same.
yes.
You've heard of it, right? It's same thing as UTMB, but a huge, huge cutoff. Like you can even, I'm not saying you can walk the entire thing, but you have a lot of time. So you're not stressed by time, right? You just have to deal with the distance and the elevation. UTMB, if you're not a great runner, if you're not a fast runner, which I'm not, um, by kilometer 100, so you still have like 70 to 70 kilometers to go. You're adding that stress of the cutoff, which is
Hmm.
not fun,
Yeah. Yeah, but
because
you've done it multiple times, right?
yeah, I finished it 4 times. So 1 year
Incredible.
shorter though. So I finished it 4 times, right? But 1 year it was shorter because there was like heavy rain and they shortened the course. But yeah, it's true. And I've done the Reunion Island. It took me 49 hours nonstop.
Wow. Wow.
49 hours, man. It's just, but it's a good memory now.
Yeah. I mean, you're mentally strong. Like
Well,
you
I mean, I'm
mentally
older
like
than
a
you, right?
challenge.
You have time to do all those
Hmm.
races. But I'm like you. I started thinking I would never be able to do a marathon. How I got, because I played tennis and soccer, right? My
Hmm.
whole life. And then I was like, running is so boring. And then I met the father of one of my friend. He was living in Hawaii. I was visiting them in Kauai. Kauai is gorgeous. Maybe you've been to Kauai.
Mm.
And we were running every night along this golf course by sunset. And this guy was a psychologist, PhD psychologist, and he has always been a runner all his life. And he was telling me, sharing stories with me, how, because he was a psychologist and he has friends that were doctors, like MDs, he had access to drugs and he was injecting painkillers in his knees to be able to continue to run marathons. And he was a 70-year-old guy. And I was
Wow.
like, this is insane. This is crazy. But this guy is smart, educated, nice. I had a revelation. And then the setting of Kauai, and I was like, okay, all right, I'm in.
I love it. I love it. Well, you got into it, got into running, in Hawaii. Same here. That first marathon was in Maui that I did. So
Oh, you
it's
did?
something about the islands. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
Something
Yeah.
about the island. So
Are
you're
you a
doing.
gear? Sorry, that was my last. That's going to be my last question. I'm sorry I cut you, but
No,
we
it's
have
okay.
like 5 minutes
No
really.
problem. No
Um,
problem.
I see a similarity also between boxing and running in the sense that those are very simple sports. Like today we complicate it with, carbon plates in our shoes, GPS watches, but really to run, you can, I mean, people run barefoot, just
Hmm.
can run in any t-shirt, short. And when I see boxers, there's not much gear involved.
Hmm.
So, but becoming a runner and a ultra runner now, do you enjoy having so much gear? Did you become a gear geek, like you're crazy about gear,
In,
or
in
are
in
you?
the in the beginning when I was doing the marathons, you kind of get sucked into that. But
Yeah,
now that I went to MDS and experienced the ultra marathons, you don't need much to really challenge yourself and
agree.
find that fulfillment in yourself. Yes, carbon plate, yes, more comfier shoes. I'll try them. I'll try a good vest, but other than that, you really don't need much. Like my first long run back since MDS was last Friday, and I remember, oh, I'll just swing by this store on the way and buy a bottle of water if I need it, and that was really pretty much it. Almost to the point where MDS is simplified me too much to where I even, oh, I got to use the bathroom. Maybe I'll go in those bushes over there, and I'm like, oh, I can't do that here.
You
I'm
can't
gonna
do
get
that.
arrested.
Yeah.
There's too many people on this trail. So I like the simplicity of things. It's like you were going to MDS every year because that was your humbling reset, right?
Yeah.
Well, if running a trail every day or a run every day does that for me also on a smaller scale, then absolutely, like I'm going to do it every day. And then I'll do the more extreme one once a year.
Dude, I have to say, it's the first time we're really talking to each other, but I like your spirit. And when I hear
Thank you.
you, I can see myself 20 years younger. No,
That's
seriously. I mean,
great.
you're just
That's
saying the
great.
right things. You just say, I'm like, yeah, he's got it. You understand it. You
I'm so lucky to have found it that like this too, because versus later on, like now I get to experience and go down these different journeys, and hopefully we
yeah,
could run more races together. I think
yeah,
the
course,
Puerto
of
Vallarta
course.
one you were telling me
Yeah,
about,
yeah.
right?
But at 30 years old, I expect you to push your body much more than me.
Oh, I'm gonna push. I'm gonna because I think it's also, I like to I like that culture of almost Japanese culture where with the samurais, and you have to honor your craft. Like I want to honor the ultra running. Like
Oh yeah, there's no
do it
cheating here.
do
There's
it to
no,
the
you
best
can't.
I can.
Yeah, yeah,
Every race, train hard for it. And not look, if whether I podium, my place, whatever, like that, the training will tell, but just do it the best I can. And
yeah.
that's what I want to do, whether I'm 34 years old, I'm 50 years old. I mean, I ran a little bit with Harry, the 70, I think it's 76
Mm.
at MDS, the Brit. Whether I'm that age, I'll always just do it to the best I can. And I feel like I'm not honoring the sport if I'm just going to, you know, not fully do it the best I can.
Yeah.
And I want to honor the craft. And same thing with boxing. I'm not just gonna, step in the boxing gym for the first time and then start fighting a week later.
No,
You
but
have to put the
also
work in
you would get humbled pretty quickly also.
very, very quickly, very quickly.
Dude, we have to wrap this up. It's been 40 minutes, but I would love to catch up.
Would love
Whenever
that.
we both have time, I'll drive to LA and have a lunch
Yeah.
with you.
You're in San Diego?
I'm Orange County, like right between the two.
Okay, yeah. So I'm
Yeah.
in Huntington, so we'll
Okay.
text and everything.
Dude, it was a pleasure.
Oh, it was. I enjoyed the conversation so much.
We talk again, okay?
Yes,
Take care,
yes.
man.
Have a good
Thank
one.
you.
Thank you.